The night before I was leaving Paris to go back home, she started crying. She said she needed to tell me something. I coaxed it out of her, and then she said the words that shattered 5.5 years of trust in a single moment. She had been unfaithful. She had slept with a guy from her course while I was traveling in Asia. But that's not even the worst part. The worst part is what she said next. She told me we need to talk about the context that led her to cheat, as if there was a justification, as if my leaving for 3 months somehow made her betray me. And now she wants to spend an entire weekend going over it together. Should I? This is my story.
Me and my partner have been together for 5.5 years. We met in the second year of university and very quickly fell deeply in love. From the very beginning, we just got each other. We made each other laugh constantly. We shared the same values, the same interests, the same taste in music, the same life ambitions. I introduced her to my family shortly after we met. She even lived with us during lockdown. She was only 19 when we met. I was 23. And over the years that followed, we both grew up in normalcy together. She supported me through some incredibly tough times, both mentally and physically. And I did the same for her, through the good and the bad. That's what you do when you love someone. You show up. You carry each other when one person can't carry themselves. We were that couple, the kind people look at and think, they've got it figured out.
For the last 3 years, I've been in the extremely rare position of having a well-paid remote job that lets me work from wherever I like. So that's what we did. We moved around together, largely following wherever she found her next opportunity, teaching English in one city, an internship in another. Because of Brexit, my time in the EU is limited to 90 days in every 180, so our lives were always between places, never truly stable for too long. I never felt fully settled anywhere, but I was broadly happy with this arrangement because I was with her, the person I trusted most in the world, the person I was closest to. Seeing new places, learning new languages, building a life together, even if that life was nomadic and imperfect.
Last September, she started a master's program in Paris. I was genuinely happy to be there with her. I spent the last 3 months of 2024 in the city, using up my EU tourist visa. Then in January, we agreed I would go traveling in Asia for 3 months. It made sense. It would be good for me to break my routine, meet new people, escape the European winter. She had her studies, I had my adventure. We'd reunite in the spring. I had a great time. I genuinely did. I came back 3 months later and spent the last 3 months with my girlfriend in Paris again. During this whole time back in Paris, she was a bit more distant than usual, a bit more anxious, which wasn't like her normally, but she blamed it on her study workload and some ongoing personal issues she was dealing with. I didn't push it too hard. I trusted her explanation. I thought she was just stressed. Finals do that to people. Intensive academic programs do that to people. I didn't sense anything seriously wrong. Then the night before I was leaving for London came, and she started crying. And she said those words, "I need to tell you something. I have been unfaithful." She initially told me it was just some guy from her course she didn't know very well, but she later admitted the full truth. She had actually met him at the end of last year, before I even left for Asia. They had been talking for months, building up this ongoing flirty relationship while I was right there in Paris with her. And then in February, just weeks after I had left, they went out clubbing together with some other people from their program. She left the club with him. She went back to his place, and she slept with him. After this happened, she says she felt guilty. She says she took some distance from him after that. But she said nothing to me. Nothing for 4 months. 4 months of silence while she was carrying this secret. 4 months during which we lived together and were perfectly normal. We talked about our future. We even discussed the possibility of getting married someday. And she was keeping this from me the entire time. She was waiting for the right moment to tell me, she says, but couldn't find it. For 4 months.
And here's what is absolutely driving me crazy. While she was deeply apologetic when she finally confessed, she also kept emphasizing that we need to talk about the context that led her to do what she did. She wants to rationalize her cheating by pointing to problems in our relationship. She brings up the fact that we never had a proper, stable, complete life together, that the constant moving was stressful for her, especially because in each new place she was often the only person I knew, so I depended on her too much socially. She brings up the fact that our political views have drifted apart over the years and caused arguments. She brings up the fact that we still don't have a clear plan for where and how we'll live together in the future.
She even tried to imply that I might have been unfaithful while I was traveling in Asia. Just floated that idea, as if it were a real possibility, as if suggesting that I might have done something similar would somehow make what she did look less serious. It was completely unfounded, utterly baseless, and I think a part of her actually wanted it to be true, just so she could feel less guilty about what she did. She now wants to meet up and spend an entire weekend together. She wants to go through all of this context she keeps talking about. She wants to figure out how we move forward together. She seems to be operating under the impression that we can talk it through and stay together, that if she explains herself thoroughly enough, I'll understand, I'll forgive, we'll work through it.
I have told her emphatically that I cannot see us together, that at the very minimum I need an enormous amount of space. And there's another practical reality at play here too. She's going to be in a completely different European country for the second year of her master's, and there is absolutely no way I am willing to follow her again, not after this. I think she believes I'm being unreasonable, that I'm throwing away something genuinely great because of one mistake. She keeps saying we're so well matched, that our connection is rare, that I shouldn't throw away our relationship over this.
But here's what she doesn't seem to fully grasp. I can't get over this betrayal. Certainly not quickly. Certainly not after one weekend conversation. Maybe not ever. And more importantly, I cannot stand listening to her rationalize what she did by citing the deficiencies in our relationship. Because here's the thing. Those deficiencies are real. I'm not disputing that. The instability was real. My dependence on her was real. The political disagreements were real. The uncertainty about our future was real. All of that is true. But if those things were serious enough problems to factor into her decision to sleep with someone else, then they were serious enough to talk about directly, to me, with me, as problems we needed to address together, not as context for why she ended up in someone else's bed.
We should have had those difficult conversations about the instability, about how she was feeling, about what she needed that she wasn't getting, about the future we couldn't quite figure out. We should have had all of those conversations and been honest with each other about whether this relationship was actually working for both of us. Instead, she turned to someone else, and she kept it from me for 4 months while we continued building our life together, while we talked about marriage. So I have some questions that I can't stop thinking about, questions I need answered. First, is her framing of what happened acceptable? This insistence that I need to understand the context that led her to cheat? Is that a legitimate request, or is it deflection? Is it her trying to share responsibility for something that was entirely her choice?
Second, why did she actually do it? I've been trying to understand. Was it purely about opportunity, about being young and in Paris and caught up in the moment? Was it a symptom of deeper unhappiness in our relationship that she never told me about? Was it just a mistake that got out of hand? Or was there something fundamentally different she was looking for that she wasn't finding with me? Third, should I spend a weekend going over this with her? Is there any value in sitting with someone who hurt you and listening to them explain why they did it? Or is that just torture with no healing at the end? Fourth, is it worth trying to save this at all? Or should I end it emphatically, clearly, and completely right now? We have so much history. We built something real together. But she betrayed that. She lied to me for 4 months. She's trying to share the blame for her own decision. Can you come back from that?
I genuinely don't know the answer, and I don't know if I trust myself to make this decision alone right now, because part of me still loves her enormously. Part of me misses her desperately, even as I'm furious with her. Part of me wants to believe that what we had was real and worth fighting for. And part of me knows that the moment she left that club with him, she made a choice, a deliberate choice, and no amount of context justifies that choice. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading this. I needed to get it out. Writing helps, a little. If you've been through something similar, if you've had to answer these same questions, please tell me what you found. Tell me if there's wisdom on the other side of this. Tell me whether you stayed or left, and whether you have regrets. Tell me anything that might help me figure out what to do next. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below and share your perspective. Have you been in a situation where your partner cheated and then tried to rationalize it? Did you stay and work through it, or did you leave? What made you decide? I need to hear from people who've been here because I'm genuinely lost. We share real stories like this every week. Stories about love, trust, betrayal, and the impossible decisions that come after. If you want to see more content like this, visit our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Remember, you're not alone in navigating these situations. Whatever you decide, make sure it's what's truly right for you, not what's easiest or what someone else expects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.